I am live. What up, Mystical? Am I lagging? I feel like I'm lagging when I look at the screen. I don't know why I'd be lagging though. I got pretty fast internet. How's it going, everyone? 2 days in a row, we are doing our manifestation conversations. This is lovely. I look like I'm lagging on. Is it lagging for you, Mystical? What up, Aman? How you doing? No lag for you? Okay. So about the other day, do you think we can just tell ourselves a story without falling to real? Yeah, Mystical. So what up, y'all? So something actually came up for me recently, which is a wonderful opportunity for me to explain it clearly and also for me to release Untrue programming that I had. So the way that it works is, well, obviously you are everything. You are consciousness, you're God. You are everything, you're one with everything. And that's why you can acknowledge that something is a certain way, right? Is because you already have it now. You're recognizing that you are it now. So you'll notice, and I've had a few times in my life, and I trust we all have, where there's certain okay, so the personality of Joseph has certain things that it's comfortable with. If it's a certain amount of money, let's say, I'm working for 4 grand a month or 5 grand a month. Let's say I'm used to this. There won't be any overthinking, there won't be any convolution, there won't be any resistance, there won't be any emotions that come up. Now let's say that the personality of Joseph is offered an experience to make $10,000. Now, this to the personality is out of its comfort zone. It's out of what it's used to, what feels natural to it. And so in these instances, it will arise a bunch of untrue thinking that are in relation to this outside thing. So I noticed for me on this entrepreneur journey, and I love it because Joseph Rodriguez always talks about that it's a beautiful way to purify the mind, as I've too found has been true. I'm getting ready to do a collaboration with Joseph Rodriguez next week, which I'm extremely excited about. And I love his information, and I know that it'll be a wonderful flow-based conversation. However, the personality of Joseph finds that having a conversation with somebody of this caliber, quote unquote, its caliber, even though in reality it's God experiencing God, the personality is viewing this as this individual is very successful. I mean, he's got, he's a multimillionaire, he's successful. He's spoken at Think and Grow Rich conferences and such. And so to the personality, it is wanting to create lots of overthinking and convolution about this and whether or not it thinks it's able to have a conversation with this individual. And so while I'm going through this process, I keep identifying as the awareness and observing and releasing the untrue thinking that it's suggesting to me about the circumstance. And what I find is it's actually creating more flow within me. It's creating more harmony within me. And it's releasing this old part of me that I used to identify with. I share all that to share this is your desire to experience your loving relationship, your desire to experience these things, they will flow to you. Your SP will flow to you, these wonderful business opportunities will flow to you, money will flow to you, and etc. And you'll notice you may be ideal up into this time. And then once you see the out picture of it or you're close to obtaining it, you may notice then that the personality will start activating with untrue beliefs, with separation based beliefs, with fear based beliefs. And it's in these moments where all I need to do is not think in relation to the untrue beliefs. That's all I have to do. I don't have to worry about making sure I'm affirming enough. I don't have to worry. I make sure that I'm catching the mood enough. I don't have to make sure that I'm visualizing ideally or whatever it is. I simply make sure that I do not think in relation of the untrue beliefs. That's it. So mystical, that's your only job. It's not to force yourself to be any way or to feel a particular way or whatever it is. It is to stop yourself from imagining to the contrary of already being the way you want to be. Because all you recognize, all manifestation is recognizing that you always were the individual you desired to be. It always was the way that you desired it to be. You're releasing the information in mind that suggests that it's otherwise. You're releasing the imagining to the contrary that you're already it. That's all you're doing. Hello. What up, Aman? I believe I already said hello, but hello. Hello again. What up, Angel? Yes, another stream. Yeah, I was feeling in flow about conversations lately, so I don't force myself to do anything. When I feel as though I'd enjoy a conversation, I will have a conversation. That seems so much more simpler than all the force and filling it real stuff. And it's also factual because think of what is filling it real doing is acknowledging that you already are that way. What is the affirmation doing? It's acknowledging that you already are that way. What is the imagining doing? It's acknowledging it's already that way. So it's just making it very simple is that my only job ultimately is to not imagine to the contrary of my desire, to not think in relation to the untrue beliefs that pop up in mind about the situation at hand. Yo, what up, TJ? Rebecca, what's up? I feel like I am not enough for my SP. Well, Rebecca, that is untrue thinking on several levels. Number one, the I that you're referring to is implying that you're separate, which you aren't because there's only consciousness. Secondly, this is all untrue imagining. The reason why I say that is because by default, and I trust you've noticed this in meditation, you are just love, peace, bliss, happiness, fulfillment, and you experience this for absolutely no reason. Your mind may say, well, why am I feeling this? There's not a reason. It's always looking for a reason to feel that way. But you are beyond the reason and you are beyond the mind, and you are by default the way that you desire to be now. And so this is illusory thinking. It is not real. And so simply do not allow yourself to think in relation to this. Angel, I stopped overly affirming and visualizing and just started stepping into the version who already has my SP. I've been doing this for days, but noticed the feeling died and went away. Is this normal? What feeling is that particular? Do you mean, Angel? Because think of what would it be like if you were now the person you wanted to be? It would just be normal, just like everything else you had that flows to you effortlessly and automatically. You may appreciate it. You may be grateful that you're experiencing it, but you don't overthink about it. You don't wish that you had it. You don't want it, feel like you're lacking about it. You don't obsess about it. So you're it. There's nothing to do to be it. It's just recognizing that you are it. Sometimes I fear the bad outcome even when 3D is good. Why is that? And although I know I am is the truth, thoughts, my relationship not being accepted socially still gets me sometimes. The bad outcome even when 3D is good. Well, okay, this is just part of the human experience. There's two parts to you. There is the part of you that is a combination of your upbringing, your experiences, your belief systems, any traumas, any suggestions others told you that you made assumptions about. And this makes up the quote unquote personality, the mind made self. Then there's the you that is consciousness. That's the awareness that is beyond the personality, that is beyond outside obstacles, that is beyond your emotions in the body, that transcends all of these things. So the personality is tied to your senses. Anytime that you have any type of similar situation to one that you experienced before in the 3D, it will make want to make certain suggestions or assumptions based upon these past experiences. I found really the only way to become free from those suggestions is to become the awareness, the consciousness. Because when I am in flow, when I'm in awareness or presence or the power of now or whatever you want to call it, I transcend these suggestions. And so they still appear, but I don't think in relation to them. They're very, very similar to becoming the sky and the thought as a cloud just passing by. It's really not problematic. It just comes up and then it leaves. It's only when you identify with it does it create more of the same in your mind, and then it may create the appearance of this in your reality. But if you don't identify with it or you don't give it meaning, then it doesn't do anything by itself. I am already everything I desire to be. That's correct. That's all manifestation is recognizing that. And that's the message I really like to spread is that I think there's so much suggestions of do this, and it's almost implying that you're making yourself that way, or it's not already that way, and you're trying to be that way. But you ever notice the more that you try to be a particular way, the less you're actually the way that you love to be, and the more that you just allow yourself to be as you are, the more that everything naturally flows to you. That's just manifestation. We allow ourselves to be as we are, perfect as we are. So we can literally just have a short normal combo, even I love you too, SP, things like that throughout the day if we want. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You're just recognizing that it is that way now. That's all manifestation is. And stopping yourself from imagining to the contrary, because that's what happens, right? Because if I have a desire that comes up, let's say that this produces a bunch of untrue beliefs generated in the mind as a result of this outside experience. Well, this is a great opportunity for me to release this. This is a great opportunity for me to release this condition in consciousness because I can ask myself, I like asking this question often if it's not clear to me what I actually desire. Why is it that I need this thing to be exactly this way? And then it'll always help me find the exact answer. Well, because then I'll finally feel as though I made it. Well, then I'll feel as though I'm important. Then I'll feel as though I'm loved. Then I'll feel as whatever it is. And you'll find the desire. And then once you find the desire, simply acknowledge that you have it now because that's where everything comes from. You're welcome, Michelle. Past few days, I have been doing mirror work and I also affirmed from my SP lesson I did. Just Dispense meditation was amazing. 20 minutes after I laid down and my eyes started to water a little bit. That's awesome, bro. Also practicing gratitude. That's wonderful. Earlier on, I made the mistake of chasing the film that assuming the thrills and excitement was the only way to get my desire. Eventually, for me, this feeling died out and I become almost still, which is wondering why. Which is why I'm wondering if that stillness is good. Stillness is perfect. Stillness is what you're shooting for. It's funny because you can't really describe stillness as a thing, yet the most profound things are spoken to you in silence. The big eye will speak to you in the silence. You'll get hunches and inspirations in the silence. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Clarity and everything that's wonderful will flow to you from there. And you also realize who you are in silence. Thank you. Would you say when you have a negative thought, suggestion is enough to know I am awareness, not the thought? There is not a reason to let it fear it will manifest. Yeah, correct. Yep. You allow the thought to come up and go on by. Like the best way I can describe the state I'm in is if I had to imagine me and my SP, there's no resistance nor heightened emotion, just neutrality. Yeah. And that is how it feels. Like a lot of people, when they manifest their person, it's not really a big deal too much anymore. It is simply just as it is. My buddy, I trust I'm able to share this now. I wasn't at the call today. I actually slept in. Apparently I needed it, but he was sharing how he manifested his SP for the sixth time now. And I was conversating with him quite a bit and shared with him the same information I share of flow and such. And there was many things that came up for him on the path of overthinking and convolution and old story and everything else. And he released it, and now the loving relationship is flowing to him effortlessly. Now, when he first started, it was this huge thing. Oh man, I can't wait till I get this back, and it's going to be awesome, etc. But that's just simply because of the state of consciousness he was in at that time. Because once he shifted states of consciousness and just became as he is now, perfect as he is now, well, once he experienced his relationship in the outside reality, it was no longer a huge thing to him. It just feels, I mean, he's grateful that he has it back, but he was already in the state of consciousness where he was content as he was now. And so it doesn't add anything onto you. It's just an experience that you prefer. And so, and you'll notice this is the state of consciousness that everybody's in before they end up manifesting whatever they're manifesting, SP or anything else, is they're in that state of consciousness. And so when they get the experience, they may go, oh, this is cool. But on a very deep level, they're like, this is just very, I just knew. Hi, Joseph. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself when the 3D is 3Ding when things seem bleak? That's a good question. It's a very good question. Well, I know that nothing comes from the 3D in and of itself. And I know the 3D is has no meaning, it's neutral. So I know that if I'm ever viewing something as unideal, the issue is always with my imagining and never with the outside circumstance. So when things like this come up, because sometimes it does come up where there may be something outside of me that triggers a little I in some way, shape, or form. And I look at it now not as, oh no, I'm going to create this or this is a bad thing, but I look at this now as what a wonderful opportunity to me for me to release this from consciousness. What a wonderful opportunity for me to release this condition that I need this thing to be this way, or I need this thing to be like this, or not like this in order for me to feel X, Y, and Z, whatever I desire. And then I can recognize that I have whatever it is that before I was waiting for this condition to be met before I could feel the way I wanted to feel, I release it. And so I can be the way I want to be, and I can allow the thing to be the way I want to be, or the way that it is. And then I will observe as it will spontaneously. A lot of times, sometimes it may appear as though it takes a few days or a week or something like this. It'll show up rearranged in harmony with the change that happened within me. So Yeah, I trust that answers your question. You said the last live you wanna move to Oregon. I do. I do, I love Oregon. Absolutely love Oregon. It is gorgeous, it's bliss. I know people that live in very cloudy states say that it would make them depressed, and, um, I've been in Arizona for the last 36 years, so it is sunny all the time, and, I don't think I'd be depressed because I don't really get affected by outside circumstances too much. So I think I would be in bliss being in Oregon. You said this morning it felt like she was laying in my bed. I could feel her with me. Do I just come back to this feeling throughout the day? Kim, and yeah. Yeah, the mood is just a way of you catching, like, I noticed that we put so much emphasis on making sure that we do it correctly and making sure that we're doing this correctly and that we do this correctly, and it's not about doing anything. It's about recognizing that you are it, that you have it. So all this, like, I recognize this too, and it's not any, not to shame you or not to say you're doing a terrible job, but it's just recognizing that I too was that way. I too would say I had to do everything perfect. It was me that had to figure out. I had to affirm. I had to visualize. I had to do this. I had to do that. But as Neville said beautifully, you want to do something, but you can do nothing. And in the Bible, it talks about my ways are greater than your ways. My level of understanding is greater than your level of understanding. So I can't do anything to aid the Father in what the Father does. I can simply recognize that I am the way that I desire to be. And then I can let the Father do what the Father does, which is play all the parts, rearrange the appearances. If anything needs to be released from me, it'll come up in mind for me to release. So you so you simply acknowledge that you are the way you want to be now. You can do that through catching the mood, but it's not about perfection. It's just about stopping yourself from imagining to the contrary. Staying loyal to the end, that it is the way that you want it to be now. Thank you. I appreciate your insight. Of curiosity, and I've been pondering about that for a while. Could you use inner work to cure or alter mental health, like using LO to cure depression? Yeah, I used to have depression and social anxiety and ADHD and anxiety. I would say even at one point, I observed myself being borderline personality disorder, I would say, because I would have so much pain and energy, emotion in the body that it would become extremely painful for me. I disassociate. So yes, rearranged in harmony. How beautiful! It's yeah, it is beautiful and it's true. Brian S. Joseph, like your videos. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Tabita, what about when you manifest a message, even if it was a short message, but then SP blocked you again? It's like, what? Tabita, notice in those instances that oftentimes why appearances happen that way is we are imagining particular things. So I trust that you're aware of what you're imagining while having the conversations, and based upon my experience, there can't be anything outside of me that happens a particular way unless I first imagine it. So again, this isn't to shame you, this isn't to condemn you. This is just to help you realize that you really are the cause and that you're responsible for the manifestations in your reality. And so that's at some point you imagine that this would happen. There was possibly, maybe you unwittingly did it, because I noticed that for me also in the beginning, I wasn't very aware what I was saying to myself. So when certain circumstances happen, I couldn't understand how it happened that way. But as I purified my mind, I realized that before I had any experience happen to me, I first imagined it. I can recall times where this was a fear of mine, or I was continuously thinking, well, what if this happens? Or they're taking a long time to respond. They're going to do this. And then that circumstance ends up happening. I mean, it happened to me with my wife many times when I would identify with thoughts like that as well. So the lesson is to release those, release that from your consciousness. When it comes up, observe it and let it go. As you are not the thoughts, you're the observer of them. You transcend them. Joseph, what would you say to someone who is frustrated by not seeing 3D manifestation of us to become back, even there are subtle signs and the timing seems perfect for them to come back? Well, Brian, my answer would be very much like Abdullah's to Neville. You're in a loving relationship now. What could suggest otherwise, minus you imagining to the contrary? You'll find that, and there's a reason why I bring this up so much, it really fundamentally does come down to not imagining to the contrary. That's it. Because the funny thing is these things I'm doing, I'm collaborating with, well, I've collaborated with some pretty big YouTubers. I'm gonna be collaborating with even bigger YouTubers here soon. And I find that I didn't do anything besides acknowledge the desires to have. That was it. The desire came up and I acknowledged that it was that way now, and then I went on with my way. And I kept flowing. And then bridge of incidences occurred, and here I am now doing these wonderful things that before the personality of Joseph never thought was possible for him. So your desire always is a promise to you. It's a prophecy. It's letting you know you're going to experience this. Yeah. So what can I do? Nothing. I can be as I am. Now, could I have stopped that desire? Yes, I could have. Well, the only way that I could stop a desire is by imagining to the contrary. If let's say that that desire would have came to me to experience these wonderful things that I'm now experiencing, and in those moments I would have said, "Well, I don't see it. It's not here yet. I can't do it. It's not good." And I would have identified with these things. I wouldn't have experienced the desire because I'm imagining to the contrary of it. And so I would have experienced what I was imagining to the contrary. And uh, like I don't want this to be misunderstood either. It's not a cruel thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a punishment. It is the way creation works. What you have in your consciousness, what you keep putting in here, will be expressed. And furthermore, even if it is expressed and it's something that you don't love, simply remove yourself from it. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be a shaming condemnation story. It doesn't have to be a man, this sucks and I can't manifest. It is simply you're testing yourself. You're testing your experiences. You're experientially living life to experience yourself as the creator. And so we do some silly things. I did a bunch of silly shit. I manifested so many painful things in my life, like I can't even begin to tell you. It would take a 10-hour stream for me to even begin to tell you all the things that I manifested that were silly. And I did it out of quote unquote fear because I didn't understand who I was. I didn't understand how to imagine only what I loved. So it's part of the process is that we sometimes create some things that we may not prefer, and that's fine. So then we leave ourselves from it, we learn our lesson, and then we imagine things the way that we love them to be. If people are mirrors, why do you think we subconsciously choose unfavorable circumstances like hot and cold behavior? Well, I talked about this in the beginning of the call is that we all have paradigms, subconscious paradigms. You'll hear this a lot where people will consciously say that I'm ready to be a millionaire, I'm ready for this, or I'm ready for that. And they may be presented with opportunities that align to this. And uh, I'll share my experience with this to give you a clear picture of this. So my desire was to be the one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, right? Even saying Tony Robbins level. Not exactly sure why that was a desire that came to me, but I accept it as done, and I'm willing. I know it's done. Okay. So on these bridge of incidences, opportunities flowed to me. Now, I did some collaborations with bigger YouTubers, people that I looked at as in the 3D reality, I would say, successful or doing cool things or getting more viewers or whatever it is. All right. Now, there was particularly one of them, Illuminating Joy, that is a bigger YouTuber. And I noticed that with this particular YouTuber, because of the person's status or whatever, uh, it started stretching the personality, this personality's comfort zone. Because for Joseph, he may be able to accept a certain level of successful person, which makes sense to him, that he can allow himself to experience, or a certain amount of money I can allow myself to experience, or a certain amount of success that I can allow myself to experience. But the moments that these opportunities for bigger things come up, all of a sudden you may notice how the personality wants to start sabotaging. Many people have this. You'll see this with their SP. Their SP, their relationship will be lovely and etc. And they'll tell themselves, this is too good to be true. Well, why? Because this person has a certain paradigm, a certain thing they're comfortable with. Even though consciously they may go, this behavior is not acceptable, this behavior is not good. On a deeper level, subconsciously, they feel as though this feels like home. It feels comfortable. It feels normal. So what you'll notice is you're starting to manifest and to break this paradigm of the way that you see yourself in relation to others and relationships. And as you're doing this, these untrue beliefs may start coming up, or some of the old man will start coming up in an attempt to pull you back to the paradigm that you're used to. Even though consciously you may say, I'm tired of it and I don't like it, on a deep level, it's pulled to this type of comfort level. They used to have this saying in AA. Uh, Staying the same is like sitting in your shit. It smells, but at least it's warm and it's comfortable. And that's the thing with change. You'll see many people say this when they're changing, is that it feels uncomfortable on some level for them to change. And the reason why is because there's a subconscious paradigm of what they're comfortable with or the way that they see themselves. And when they're stretching this results as certain sensations in the body. So so to answer your question, it is you're imagining you're in the new story that SP is ideal, and then you're going back to the old story and you're judging based upon appearances. And so you'll notice, and I trust you've recognized this, that there is hot and cold behavior within you, which then SP is mirroring. Hey Joseph, just saw you're online. I want to say hi. What's up, Judah? How you doing? It's been a long time. How can I manifest an SP? Been on manifestation for years and really have this deep desire to be with SP, but she doesn't have any romantic feelings for me and is feeling impossible to happen. Yes, Emma. So the only thing that's standing in between you and your SP being the way you desire them to be is that after you ask the question, how can I manifest an SP? So release that story and SP will flow. And that's the point behind affirmations or visualizing, etc., is to release this old story you're telling yourself from your consciousness. Have you been manifesting many things by just acknowledging you have it when it comes up now? Yes. Yes. And the other interesting thing I noticed too, Mystical, is that I don't desire as often as I used to, which I used to think was a bad thing. But actually, in fact, it's a beautiful thing. What I'm recognizing is that which I love automatically flows to me. And I'll explain to you why. Okay. So I had this experience with my wife a couple of weeks ago. And I shared this before, but just because I can share my experiences when they come up with such clarity, so in that way you can see it in your own life. I love sharing these experiences. So my wife was experiencing an emotion, and it was appearing a particular way. And I noticed that the little eye, anytime my wife was experiencing emotions, wanted to do a couple things. One, it wanted to panic because it was going, this, anytime this happens, this means things are bad. She's emotionally distancing herself from you. This is what it looked like several times before the relationship ended. Before, there would be many things that were unideal that I was imagining to the contrary of my desire, which my desire obviously is to be in a loving relationship. Okay. So when this came up, rather than what I used to do was identify with the thinking and go, oh, you know what? It's right. This could be a problem. It is like this. It has gone like this before, which is identification to the untrue belief. I instead became the observer. I detached and became that which is aware that the little I was suggesting separation or problems. And I went, why do I need my wife to be ideal right now? How come she's not okay the way she is? The answer? Because I want to feel like there's harmony. I want to feel safety. I want to feel certainty. So I was putting needing her to be this way because I wanted to feel certainty. And so this untrue belief told me I need her to be this way and then I can be certain, which is untrue. So I realized two desires to have, and I acknowledged, thank you that I am certain now. Thank you that I'm secure now. Thank you that there's harmony now. The result, I released the untrue beliefs that my wife needed to be this way or it was problematic. I observed her and allowed her to be as she was, and she lovingly rearranged herself in that situation, ended up being mutually harmonious and mutually beneficial. And it was wonderful. Whereas if I would have identified with the untrue thinking, I may have, not even may have, I would have for sure manifested a part three. You guys would have heard me manifest my wife back part three. That would be something, wouldn't it? Have you been manifesting many things? I said that my problem is what the F I live in the freaking end. I have issues feeling, I guess. By the way, you're the best of the best at manifesting everything you said. It's like magic. My shit is my SP. Thank you, Tabita. I appreciate that. I appreciate you acknowledging that. So it's Tabita, I would make it very, very, very simple. Like this is just how I manifest. Oh, and one last point I wanted to add to this last thing. So now the whole point where I say it purifies the mind when you're doing these things, right? When you acknowledge that you already are the way you want to be, it then releases the condition. So next time I may see my wife appearing emotional, that untrue belief will no longer arise for me because I purified it. The last time that I had that circumstance happen, I purified it because I did not identify with that subconscious belief system suggesting separation or lack or needing. And I purified it. So now if I observe my wife be that way, it'll no longer come up in my mind. I will no longer imagine the situation to be that way. I will allow it to be as it is. And the result is, in some way, shape, or form, and it ends up being in harmony with me. It ends up being the way that I love it for it to be. And she ends up being the way she loves to be. So that's why I'm saying that a lot of the times the desire is a beautiful thing. The desire is to recognize that you already are what it is the mind's telling you need this outside thing to be, which is untrue. Because you are everything now. You have everything now. You are perfect as you are now. So I trust that that example shines clarity on what I'm meaning for you guys. So interesting. A paradigm video would be interesting if you have if you have time. I that is a great idea, and I'll love to do a video like that. I'm excited for the next probably week or so. I'm going to be doing lives talking about my collaboration with Joseph Rodriguez because I'm extremely excited about it. I love he's helped me so much, and he's just a beautiful human being. So how do you ignore the 3D when it is triggering as hell? Bonnie, great question. So Bonnie, the 3D is a representation of you. I trust you've heard this many times. You'll hear in law of assumption the exact same things over and over again. Disidentify from the little I, don't react to the 3D, etc. And many of these things may seem almost impossible when you try to conceptualize what's suggested. What I have found to be the easiest thing to do is to disidentify from the thinker. So when you have a situation, and I trust that you notice this, the more that you become aware of how you imagine everything, the more that you will realize that you imagine something about everything. Before you go and you talk with a friend, you're imagining how the conversation is going to go. Before you go and you have a conversation with Joseph, you're imagining the question you're going to ask Joseph. Before you go and you get ready to speak in front of a crowd, you have certain thoughts of how this outcome is going to go and how you're going to speak and how people are going to receive you and etc. My point is you are imagining ahead of the experience always. Now, if we don't know what we're imagining, one could say this would be problematic. Well, why is that? Because what I imagine creates my outer experiences. This is why I say I must wake up and be aware of what I'm saying to myself. What am I saying to myself when a bill comes? People will affirm, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. Then a bill comes. What are they saying to themselves? Are they imagining that they don't have enough money? That money's always taken from them? That they dread paying bills with the hidden assumption that they don't ever have enough money flowing back to them? Do they continue telling themselves they don't know where they're going to get more money? If I don't know what I'm imagining, how can I change my imagining? This is why I talk about the importance of becoming conscious continuously throughout your day because you are imagining something about everything you come in contact with all day long. So it's the most fundamentally important thing that I can do is I can become more conscious because when I am more conscious, I can disidentify from unconscious programming and I can choose conscious suggestions that align with who I am now. Consciousness is the backbone of everything. It is fundamentally the master key. If I can become more conscious when these unconscious imagining happens to me because it seems to happen to me. I don't choose it. It is based upon the past experiences of Joseph. I don't choose these. It seems to choose me. If I am not conscious, I cannot disidentify from it and stop myself from thinking in relation to what it's suggesting to me, which means then that I'm going to create what I've always created because I am not imagining differently. So then I must learn to become conscious continuously so I can observe what I am saying within myself all day long because it is the law that what I am saying within myself creates my outer experiences. So do things like practicing walking meditations, practicing being conscious in the moment. Maybe just sit there when you're in the car and observe your surroundings without labeling them, without saying this is a bird, this is a car, this is a person, this person's an asshole, they drive like this. Observe every experience without labeling it to be a particular way. This is being in flow or consciousness or whatever you want to call it. Void, God consciousness, Christ conscious. There's so many different names for it. The point is you are observing life without thinking about life. And the more that you can do this, the more that you free yourself from being going unconscious. So when you are consciousness, then, and if I can observe something without it giving a meaning, well, guess what happens whenever your question is referencing is how do you ignore a 3D situation when it's sugar as hell? If you are in the awareness, which is observing without thinking, there's nothing to trigger you with because your thinking is what triggers you, nothing else. So do meditations, observe, pay attention to space, pay attention to silence, observe things without making suggestions, without thinking about things, without labeling things. Do things like this where you're increasing your awareness and it will you'll become more conscious and you'll notice automatically your life experiences will be way more ideal, as well as your inner experiences as well. Hi Joseph, what up Fig Tree? What does your SP wife actually think about the law? She loves it. I talk with her about the law all the time, and she talks about how listening to me has purified her mind drastically on it. It's funny. We literally just talked. I'm like, babe, we should do the talk where we discussed law of assumption. She goes, can I talk about how I manifested you? I'm like, sure. She never said one way or another, but she loves it, and she's grateful that I was in the law because she did explore it before. She just said that it was very confusing for her. She couldn't understand exactly how to do it, and so she kind of stopped. If you're in a situation which you would be homeless next month, how would you manifest your way out of it? How would you handle such an extreme situation? Uh, I've manifested things when, like, I cut my finger very badly, and I was gonna probably bleed out. To be honest, I sliced my finger. I was on a trip with my wife for her birthday, and I was on one of those tin can, um, those roofs. I don't know. We don't have them here in Gilbert, but over there, like up north, there was this rooftop that had this very skinny metal roofing, and I ended up shooting the basketball, and it was one of those hoops where it was connected to the house. And I hit the rim then hit the backboard and went on top of the roof. Well, I went to climb on the roof to get the ball, and they go, "Hey, we need to get a ladder or we need to get something." I'm like, "No, no, no. I used to climb trees all the time. I've been climbing trees since I was a kid." Shit, me and my brother up until 2 years ago for Thanksgiving and Christmas, we climbed this huge Christmas tree, that was probably about 40 feet tall. So I love climbing. So anyways, I go and I'm climbing this, and it was snowing outside, and I go to step on this like little, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 foot ledge, and I grab the side of this metal roof to try to pull myself up, and it slices my finger. And I'm talking about, it was sliced all the way from like nail to nail, and it was bleeding everywhere. I was gushing out. It's like spraying out, and to the point where her brother is not a very I'd say he's a man's man. He's in construction. He doesn't really show emotions and such. And he was looking at me like he was about to faint. So I'm sitting there and I'm putting on bandages. I'm trying to put on butterflies, and blood is just pouring. I mean, I'm just filling up napkins and I'm filling up stuff, and I drank too. So it was very, very unideal, right, situation. And I'm like, well, I either A, need to get to a hospital, or B, I'm going to test my imagination, which was very ballsy. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend this to most people, but I decided that I was going to test my imagination. And I go, am I willing to die for this shit? Am I willing to die for belief in my imagination? And so I said, yes, I actually am. I've always been kind of on the wild side, to be honest. And so as it's bleeding like crazy, and I'm trying to hold my finger out, it just doesn't matter. I'm putting bandages on it, I'm putting gauze on it, and it's just filling up with blood within seconds. All right. I sit there and I imagine myself in 15 minutes from that time with a clean bandage on, and me taking it off and seeing that the cut is very little. And I saw myself do this several times where I observed it and I felt it and I let it go. And then I just sat there in the silence for 10 minutes, and I'm holding my finger up and I'm just sitting there in the silence. I'm sitting in the silence. And when I take it off, I take the bandage off. It is just like it went from my nail to my nail. I saw it when it originally happened. I saw it and I could see my bone to it was just this little tiny sliver, just this little tiny cut that went across my finger. And so to share the reason why I share that is that your imagination overrides everything. It is literally the cause of your flesh. It's the cause of your health. It's the cause of your finances. It's the cause of harmony. It's the cause of everything. It is a single power in your reality. And so what I would do is that I, to be honest, wouldn't imagine anything. When unloving thoughts or untrue thoughts came up about me being evicted, I would not think in relation to these thoughts. I would not think that things are this particular way. And that's all I would do. And I know that in a way that I on this level, I don't know, money would flow to me, opportunities would flow to me. I would live with somebody, something would happen in a way, unexpected money would flow to me. There would be something that would end up flowing to me. And so that's my suggestion for you. That's really how I manifest everything that's ideal now. Is I don't allow myself to think in relation to the appearances. By the way, I have a club suggestion. Athena. Oh, Simo, yeah. So I tried actually reaching out to, well, I didn't try to collab with Athena. I wanted to collab with Joseph, and Joseph at the time wasn't open to collab, and he said he had a couple things that he had to do. Joseph, I have a question. A lot of times when I'm doing hard work, I find that the mind wanders about and like to have inner conversation, go back to certain events. What is the best way to rope um when I'm doing hard work? Yeah, so probably what's happening, Jamarian, is that you're going unconscious while doing this stuff, right? I still catch myself going unconscious too. And this is the times where I too will experience this unconscious talking. It also happens while I'm playing video games. I notice this is why I suggest to people that they don't do too much Facebook or gaming or stuff like this, is because I recognize that for me, this is the times where I will go unconscious and start imagining things that are unlovely for myself. So what you can do is just simply every couple of minutes or every 5 minutes, take a break and just for a second or two, take a conscious breath. And the act of doing this will bring you more present in the activities and stop you from going into that unconscious chatter. At this point in the journey, would you consider yourself to be more on autopilot, as in you do not have to consciously choose better thoughts, states, and so forth? I would say for the most part that I'm ideal. I'm conscious, I'm aware, and my thoughts automatically are ideal. I do get opportunities to purify my mind, though. This collaboration with Joseph Rodriguez was a beautiful opportunity for me to purify my mind. This entrepreneur journey has been a beautiful opportunity for me to purify my mind. There's been many times where convolution or overthinking or um, issues about charging people money for my services, things like this. There's been a lot of untrue beliefs that I had to purify my mind with, and so I recognize though that it is a lot easier for me to do so. And the reason why it is because I understand that it's going to look the exact same way every time that I level up. So anytime I'm doing anything that's outside of Joseph's paradigm or what it thinks it's possible for itself, it may appear to bring up these untrue beliefs or these limitations or these fears or these uncertainties or these resistance. And I know that I am not the personality. I'm the consciousness. And so I understand fundamentally when this comes up, what to do now, how to release this information without resistance or fighting it or making it painful. And so I'll say that that is what's became the most apparent for me, is that when untrue things come up, I used to give them the meaning of, oh no, I'm going to end up doing something like I used to do, or oh no, this means that this is going to go this way. And I would give it some unlovely meaning that would cause unideal experiences in my life. And so I don't do that anymore. So I can allow the untrue beliefs to come up or the resistance to come up, and I can allow myself to release identification to it, which it then purifies my mind. And now the level that I used to be uncomfortable being at now feels very natural to me. And then I'll reach another level. Let's say that I do a collaboration then with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Well, now this will push the boundaries of Joseph's personality even a little bit more. And so I'll get to do the same thing. And then let's say that once I get there, then I'm able to do one with Tony Robbins, and then it's et cetera, et cetera. So it's as you push your how the personality sees itself and you release identification, it just becomes easier and easier and easier. I find that wait, let's see. I find that I don't have as much control over the mind when the body is working so hard and or causing physical stress on the body. Yeah, yeah. It's well, you think of it this way: is that when there's on some level, Dr. Joe Dispenza is correct on this. Is that you'll notice that when you wake up in the morning, I have observed this in myself. There's particular things that unconsciously the body wants to do, and the mind doesn't even think of this. It's almost like I want to check my phone. It's just a feeling. I want to check my phone, and then I get up and I check my phone automatically. I don't even really think of doing it. It's just automatic. And then I want to go and get an energy drink. I don't even think about this. It's automatic. And then I got to do this, and then I do this, and then and you'll find that for many people, they're the exact same way. And so you'll find that when we do these certain activities, we think certain things, imagine certain things, believe certain things, etc. May think of this person or may think of this person or whatever it is. And so you'll find that in this situation, just simply taking like a couple of conscious breaths or just becoming aware of the space or observing without labeling while you're doing work will help bring more presence into it. It'll stop yourself from automatically acting unconsciously. And then the more and more and more you do it, the more conscious you'll be. Any popular law of attraction assumption teachings that totally do not resonate with, that I don't resonate with? I'd say on some level that everybody's teachings are necessary for the crowd that they're attracting. Now, for me specifically, where I'm at in law of assumption, I don't find very many content creators helpful because the information that's shared of like the affirming all day long. This for someone who's starting out, this may be very helpful for them to change their thoughts because the information that or what I now recognize, the easiness I now recognize may not be clear to that individual where they're at. Whereas to them, changing their thoughts uh, is about as conscious as they can become of where they're at. So to make this very simple, most people's information is too complex and it's too much work. It's not necessary. It's like you can build a house by doing 5,000 steps, or you can build a house by doing 2 steps. And I found that where I'm at, it just makes more sense for me to do 2 steps. A lot of the information shared is to do this and to do this and to make this happen and to force. And a lot of it seems as though it's controlling over convoluting and overdoing. And it's you that makes it happen, etc. Is the information that's shared, which just to me on many levels, I don't resonate with. Now, people that I really enjoy watching, like The Internal Game, I enjoy watching Joseph Rodriguez. I enjoy watching Neville Goddard. These are people that to this day, it's very pure and it's very simple, very, very simplistic. And to me, that's how I know that it's the highest truth. Is that what I found is the most pure thoughts or the most pure things to do or easiest things to do, usually the most profound things, and they're usually very easy to comprehend. This to me means that it comes from truth. If things are very complex and they're very hard and they're very very confusing, this means that it comes from non-true belief, is what I found. Whenever I've gotten hunches or inspirations or great ideas, they have never been complex. They've always been very simple. And I trust it's been the same for you too. How does one remove someone entirely from their reality when they keep showing up? For example, one may go to a meeting and experience a specifically knowing person that keeps appearing. I want this person completely obliterated from my reality. Imagine yourself having a conversation with somebody and just being like, hearing that person telling you that they left and they're doing wonderful. We got to manifest a collab with Neuro Knowledge, dude. Got 100 gift subscribers in a couple months and just launched a first day best selling book. Dang, that's dope. Yeah, I've never watched Neuro Knowledge, but I do like what I've heard about him. People say that he's wonderful. I feel like I can't manifest my SP even though I was able to manifest them back before. Yeah. So what is it that you're imagining currently about your relationship? I mean, whatever it is that comes to your mind about what you're trying to do or what the relationship currently looks like. The funny thing is like the mind tells us we have to do all these things, but really all we have to do is just release what it's currently conscious of, how it's currently seeing this relationship. That is all we have to release. And then you'll notice that the relationship will flow automatically. Sima, I'm actually curious, what is his name? Neuro Knowledge. What is his book about that he ended up producing? Is there happiness is someone's is there happiness in someone else So Jamarion, the thing is when we're seeing imperfections in people, the so I shared this at the beginning, and I'm glad you brought this up because we can never share this enough. There is never an issue with the outside circumstance, ever. It is always an issue with my imagining, every single time. So the question is there not an issue with this individual? The question is how do I change my imagining? Or how do I release this untrue belief about this person, right? Because we don't see others, we see ourselves in others. So to give you an example of this, what I mean is if I see somebody that, like for instance, I talk about Joseph Rodriguez, and I'm like, man, I love how he flows. I love how he does this. I love how he does that. What I'm seeing is myself, the qualities that I love in myself. And if let's just say that I go and I say, hey, I don't like how this person does this. I'm seeing something in myself that I don't like, that I'm projecting onto this person because there is no others. I only see myself. If I want to create a business and uh, I go to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to come up and tell me why I can create this business and it'll be so successful and why I can do it. And it's a great idea. If I go to somebody who's working at Fry's, they're going to tell me it's a terrible idea. Well, why is that? Because they can only share with me their beliefs, their thought patterns, the way they see the world. And so to them, what they're doing is in harmony with their current beliefs they identify with. Doesn't mean they can't change them, but at the moment, they're where they imagine themselves to be. This is why I used to always say, I am living the dream. Is because what I'm doing, I at some point imagined myself being here in some way, shape, or form. It's the truth. Everyone's living their dream. How to manifest to someone that doesn't know you and is kind of a celebrity. Kilsa, I would there's a couple things that you can do for this. Simply just acknowledge that you guys have the perfect relationship now. You can imagine a scene that implies that you guys are in a loving relationship now. You can script whatever you want to do. It's really just about acknowledging the desires to have. That's really what it's about. And not allowing yourself to imagine the contrary, not looking for proof of validation, not imagine it's not working, that you don't see proof, etc. How do I regulate myself and my brain when negative intrusive thoughts about SP pop up? Brain's getting too loud, imagining past fights. Presence, my friend. Presence. Becoming more conscious. Wait, Eckhart Tolle, do walking meditations, practice observing the room without thinking. Things like this are going to pull you out of your mind. Because here's the thing, if you are unconscious, you're going to have thoughts about your past, you're going to have thoughts about your future, you're going to be judging based upon your past. Circumstances will, you'll see circumstances the same, even though they're new. In this present moment, you're going to see them as they were before. Um, Presence is the only way that you become free. How do I regulate myself and my brain when negative intrusive? Oh, I read that one. Oh, his book is called Outsmarting Reality. It's a book of manifestation, metaphysics, how the universe works. Oh, that's dope. That's sick. He read about 400 books and compiled that knowledge in one book, basically. That's dope. Good for him. Yeah, my man, still having some thoughts and unideal imagines come to mind at times, trying to pour from my mind more and more. And this I find if I, when you first started, was it hard for you too? Yes. Yes. And a good amount of it is because I didn't have clarity of what it was that I was actually trying to do. That was a lot of the issue is I knew that I didn't where a lot of problems came for me was number 1 perfection, and number 2 I was coming from the intention that I would make it so, that I would make something happen. That I was God, which your awareness of being is, but the little I that says I am God is not God. That is the mind main self. And so I thought that it was gonna be the little I that would make it happen, that would create this. And this caused a lot of issues because then this required me to have perfection. This required me to do it correctly, to feel exactly perfectly all the time, and to feel this way and to feel that way, and judge and critique myself. Once I recognize that it is already that way now, and simply all I'm doing is I'm acknowledging that I am it, I'm staying faithful that I am it instead of imagining to the contrary or that I'm lacking or I need in it. That's all I need to do is acknowledge it, nothing else, because it's the Father that doeth the work. Well, then it became extremely easy and it purified my mind. And also, when I realized that I was looking for particular things outside of me, I wanted my wife to show up this way. So then that way I could feel love and I could feel relief and I could feel secure and I could feel as though I was adored and appreciated. This is why I was wanting to be with my wife. I was wanting success because then I could say, oh, I'm proud of myself. I'm finally this, or I'm perfect as I am, etc., whatever it is. Well, then once I recognize that I am this now, that I recognize this within me now, I could feel as though I am it now and it releases this condition. And then I can be as I am, perfect as I am, and then opportunities flow from there. So when I realized those two things, it made this whole purification thing a lot quicker. It made it a lot quicker. But yes, it did take some time. I'm gonna manifest medicine beer. Nice, bro. Thank you. I'm rooting for your Simo. What if you don't believe in your affirmations, but you say it over and over? You don't need to believe them. You're just recognizing that you already are it. That's all you're doing. Thank you. Yeah, I try to flip and move on through acceptance and pour into myself. Currently, really unclear why the 3D hasn't caught up as I feel firm in my relationship. Yeah, persist. I mean, whenever a desire comes up, just acknowledge you have it. That's all. That's trust me when I say that's all you're wanting is to recognize the fact that you have it. That's what the desire is. Because when you actually get the outside experience, it's never crazy. It's never special, like this amazing, like orgasmic thing. It's always just like very you prefer it and you appreciate it, but it's never this crazy experience that the mind tells you it's going to be. Oh, once I get that, that'll be awesome. Then I'll be so happy, and it's just never like that. So what you're really desiring is to recognize that you have it now. And so whenever the desire comes up, just recognize that. Hey Joe, you're welcome, brother. All right, guys. Much love. I appreciate you all. I am going to get off for now, but much love, guys, and thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I will catch you all very soon.